core of who you are is your sense of self. That sense of self often develops within the context of interactions that you have with other people around you. That is true for each and every individual. And the younger that you are, the more salient is that particular impact or impression that you take away from your social interactions. So relationships tend to form such a key part of each and every individual's life, particularly for teenagers. These relationships tend to be of varying characters, of varying natures. Some of the most core relationships that any teenager ends up having is within the context of their family. That family would be their immediate caregivers, their siblings. In caregivers, we could be looking at parents, we could be looking at grandparents, we could be looking at an aunt, an uncle, anyone who's involved in primarily taking care of the needs, of the requirements, and is involved in the decision making when it comes to making choices along with the teenager. It includes your siblings, it includes your aunts, uncles, cousins. All of those are significant relationships. But what also happens for teenagers is that friends tend to start forming a very, very core element that surrounds teens. The relationships that you start building, developing with your peer group, which tends to determine to a large extent the ways in which you think about and feel about your own self. So the relatedness that you're establishing with those who are within your peer circle, whether it is within the context of people who are exactly your age in your classes, seniors, juniors within the school, people who are there in your neighborhood, within the community that you reside in, all of those relationships assume a lot of importance, particularly in the teen years. And they have a significant influence upon you as an individual. So know that these relationships are going to form a very key part of your life and of how you are going to be developing your sense of self. You may in fact wonder, how is it that a relationship with another person would start impacting my sense of self? It's important to realize that a lot of times when we are thinking some things, when we are feeling in certain ways, or when we are responding to situations, we tend to look towards others around us. We take a lot of reinforcement through validation, through the praise, through the acceptance that we see others are demonstrating towards the actions, the thoughts, the feelings that we are showing in situations. When you're looking towards all of these others, they're either reinforcing who you are by indicating through their acceptance that this is good enough or this is okay. Or a lot of times you may also experience invalidation, or you may realize that there is a different way of responding or reacting, because the feedback that you're getting from others around you would involve an understanding that there could have been a different way in which you could have looked at a thing, or you could have reacted or responded to it. So your social relatedness ends up impacting the ways in which you are thinking about your own self. If the feedback that is coming to you is positive, you tend to develop a more positive sense of self. If the feedback that is coming to you a lot of times tends to be negative, which is telling you that you should be looking at things differently, doing them differently, then it can create a more negative view of your own self. These perceptions that you end up having about how people are thinking about you and how they're responding to you will end up influencing the thoughts about who you think you are and how good enough you think you are. And it can either boost your confidence, your belief in your own self, your sense of worthiness, and enhance your self-esteem, or it could impact it negatively. So it's very important to be mindful of the kind of relationships that you're building, how you're maintaining and sustaining them, and what is the importance or the role that you're allowing people to have in your life, how much you're getting influenced by them. So maintaining your relationships is going to be something which is very, very key, and which ones you choose to maintain is equally important. there are some key things which you do need to focus on when we're talking about maintaining relationships. Relationships, especially because we understand, are going to influence the ways in which you are viewing yourself, do require certain boundaries. You can't blindly take on everything that is coming at you. So you need to be able to ensure that the information that is coming towards you is also something that you're looking at from a dispassionate perspective. You have to keep on ensuring that there are the right kind of boundaries which are in place so that they don't impinge upon other aspects of your life. A lot of times, one of the bigger issues teenagers have is that they end up focusing or channelizing all their energies on one type or one person within their life. When you're focusing only on one type of relationship or one person within your life, you are ignoring a lot else. And that is what leads to dips in focus, in concentration, and it leads to an impact on different areas in which you need to function. So it's very crucial that you keep on reinforcing boundaries. What's also important and which maintains the quality of good, healthy relationships is your communication. It's about learning to share and express what you are experiencing, not thinking that another person will magically understand what it is that is happening to you or goes on within your mind, but instead actively stating to them what you are going through. At the same time, it is important that in a relationship you learn to listen. You absorb what the other person is sharing and you don't discredit or put aside whatever they may share with you, saying that this is something that does not align with my experience, so it is not true or it's not okay. Acceptance that there are different perspectives is extremely crucial, and it's very essential that you give space to people to be able to share and bring forth their varying perspectives into your relationships. Relationships require a lot of giving and a lot of effort. So be willing to put in the time, invest within them so that they become significant positive aspects of your life. But remember also that you need to be able to discern where to put in and channelize your energies and where you need to create a better balance. Taking that reflective approach is something which will ensure that you're focusing your energies on the right kind of relationships for your own self.